Real quick, before we get to the pricing on there, I just wanted to let you know the 2x4s that I use for the stud walls, the brackets and screws, nails will not be included in this. This will basically be everything but those to get the building going with it. But I did want to let you know, in order to do 24 inches on center for the most part all the way around, use 54 2x4s, use 71 L brackets in order to attach those 2x4s to the metal framing, both on the crossbar, the cross top cap, whatever you want to call it, and the stud at the bottom with it. And then 1.5 by 1.5 furring strips at the corners, because there's nothing to attach the drywall or plywood or whatever you decide to put up on the walls. There's nothing to attach it to. So I put furring strips at that corner. I could only use 1.5. It wasn't deep enough to be able to put like a 2x4 in there. I don't have a table saw. I wasn't going to rip them, so those work fine with it. But we use 10 furring strips. So add those numbers to the final total when it comes up here in a second. Basically, you can figure out what your own wood costs and that would be at the time with it, as stuff is fluctuating at the moment. That's why I didn't include the pricing with it. So, but that's what I've got for that. Let's get to the video so you can see how much this all costs. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are in the shop, and today we're going to talk about how much it costs to get it set up. We're going to talk about the building, the concrete, the electrical, the insulation, that kind of stuff with it. What we're not going to talk about is the different tools, the lifts, that kind of stuff. I've got quite a bit of stuff that we've bought since we've gotten the shop up, so I'm not really getting into all of that. But what we're really going to talk about today is, like I said, the metal building, the insulation, the electrical, that kind of stuff with it. What it costs basically to go from what we had before to the building ready to work in. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, let's talk about some costs. So I'm gonna throw out you the first thing, the number everybody's wanting, what the total cost is. We'll give you to that right now. We're at $30,675.70, more or less. I rounded some numbers. So that is a total for everything. That was from what we started with, 2 buildings out here, smaller buildings, to the metal building put up with the insulation, electrical, and everything like that. So again, that's the number everybody's been looking for, so now we'll break it down. I've got a board over here beside me, so you'll see me looking over there a lot because that's where I've got all of my numbers at. So the first thing that we're going to start with was when we were here, like I said, we had 2 small storage buildings that were here. The city would not let us have all 3 of those buildings due to their regulations and stuff. So we had to get rid of one of those buildings, and then I had to move another building over. It basically moved over. They just swapped positions. One of them we just gave away, and then we did that. So that cost $600 just to get those buildings moved, to get everything set up. So the next thing that we did was get the permits through the city for everything. Once we got our drawings and everything submitted to them, we got our permit, and that was only $72, so that was nice. Next thing we did was the concrete work. So we did the 24 by 30 pad for the building. We also did an 8 by 24 pad right outside, and then we had a small ramp that's out front. The total cost for that was $6,530. That took a couple weeks to get done there. The next thing we did was the actual building itself going up, the next cost that we had. This building is a 24 by 30 metal building, 2 10 by 10 roll-up doors on the 30-foot side, 1 man door with 2 30 by 30 windows. That cost $10,617. There was a few adjustments along the way. We have 12-foot walls in here, and we also did a vertical roof on it so that the peak would be on the 30-foot side, because I wanted it 30 foot wide and 20 feet deep. 24 feet deep, because again, I am working on motorcycles, so I don't exactly need it to be set up for cars. If you are planning on working on cars or have different designs, you may want to change that, and it may cost you a little less since you don't have to do the roof the same way. So the 10 by 10 doors, I was actually looking to do one smaller, but it really wasn't that big of a difference in the cost. I think it was about $50, if I remember correctly, to go with an 8-foot and instead of a 10-foot on one of them. So I just went for 2 10 by 10s, and that's actually suited us really well. And I do need to work on figuring out how to get some insulation, probably some foam board magnetized to those. So that'll be the plan on that. So excuse me. if you've got any questions on the building, what we had done, how it was done, or any of that stuff with it as far as the actual structure, it was built by National Steel Buildings. I had a guy out of Little Rock that I paid my deposits and everything to, and the National Steel Buildings came out and did that. National Steel Buildings was really great to work with. They were really excellent, helping me out with a lot of stuff because there was a lot of holdups along the way with it. So I probably should have had film for all that stuff. You guys could see my frustration pulling my hair out trying to get everything together. So, anyways, the next thing we did after the building was done, soon as the building was done, was I did the floor with, I believe it was Rust-Oleum Rock Solid, I believe is what it was, an epoxy shield. It's not a real epoxy, I don't think it is. But I was lucky because a couple months before that, I actually happened to go to Lowe's and find a couple of them on clearance that had been mistinted. I asked, they said they were all the same tint. So I bought, I believe it was 6 boxes, I believe is what it was. I'd have to go back and look, I'm not 100% sure on that. But I got them for $290.23. Which was a great deal. It was about half of what it would have cost me with it. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the floor. They were not all the same color, but apparently that's a real problem when you're buying those. You should mix them all together. I didn't have the way to do that to mix, 6+ gallons. I think it was actually 12 gallons because they were 2-car garage size. But it did very well. I actually ended up with 1 gallon left over, and I do have a couple spots later that I'll touch up with it. But like I said, I got a really good deal on that. That took a lot of prep work, a lot of work on that to get done. So once we got the floor done, we actually put our lights up next, but we'll jump back to those later. So the electrical cost on it, I did another video on that. You can go back and look at that and see what all we've got done in here. That cost $4,817. That was 2 separate trips together for the initial, and then plus some other stuff that I added on later on. Because you're always going to want more electrical. The mini split that we have is a 24,000 BTU Daikin. We had it professionally installed. I did look at some of the DIY units, but this was just better overall for us because of the fact that we get the warranty and everything with it, and they're doing a year's worth of service on it, and they can get parts and all that too. So, but that cost $2,946 to have that installed and for the unit itself. So. Next thing we did was we ran Ethernet cable. We actually did that with the electric, the mini split, and that Ethernet cable. They were all done at the same day, the same time, the initial stuff with it. So we got a 100-foot Ethernet cable off Amazon for $42.15. It's buried underground, runs into the building to a router that we already had with it. So, so we have high-speed internet out here, which is very nice. The overhead lights, probably a little washed out behind me, but right now we're looking at $500 give or take for the lights. Again, that's a little bit more rounding. Those are the Honeywell lights I bought from Sam's Club that are linkable, and I absolutely love them. They're set up on different circuits, so I can turn some on and off anytime I want. So, and I do, especially at night. So, next thing would be the exhaust fan. Again, that's in the previous video. You can see that. That was $84.35 to buy it, and we hooked it up ourselves with it. Ceiling fans, I got 2 of those. One of those I got on clearance, actually at a wholesale place nearby for $20, so then I bought a new one of that one online. So we ended up with 2 of the ceiling fans, so that was $110 for those. At the same time, when the electricians came back and installed that stuff for us, they also put an exterior light, just a small $15 light on the outside, but that's a big help. I have it wired to some switches, which are the Casa smart plugs. And I've got 4 of those in here that control the lights, and then we also have the one for the exterior light, which is really nice to be able to turn the light on from inside the house or outside the house from out here in the dark. So the Casa smart plugs cost $51.97 off Amazon. Got them on some discount stuff with it. So, and the last thing that I have for this is the insulation. It was $4,000, and it is 2 inches of closed cell foam all around, ceiling, walls, and everything. I called around to a few different people, got a couple different prices with it. That was actually about the best price that I found with it. And I really wanted the closed cell. It really is a little bit better. You can do your own research on those as far as the benefits of it. So, but so far it has been awesome. The sound is definitely better in here. It's still loud when it rains. It's a metal building. I did expect the insulation would calm that down a little bit, but it hasn't really. So it's a little bit quieter. It's a different, deeper sound rather than a real light sound when it rains. So, but again, I'm so happy with it. I don't even have the mini split on today with it. So I have the fans that aren't even on at the moment. It's just extremely comfortable in here. It's been really nice. Even with the 12-foot walls, which gives it a 16-foot ceiling, it has been really nice having the insulation in here. It just unbelievably great. A lot of times I'll just turn on the exhaust fan for a minute, which I just put the exhaust fan in for sucking fumes out, dust, that kind of stuff, but it actually has worked really well just to suck a little bit of hot air out. So I assume in the summertime that'll be even better. So then I have two wall switches for the fans, and I'll turn those on every once in a while just to kind of move some air around when I'm in here. Not that often because I don't need it. It really has been comfortable. It's been, good temperatures in springtime right now. So, I think we hit a little over 80 degrees one day, and we've had some colder days in the 30s where I haven't had to worry about it. The mini split has been great with the insulation and no problems at all. So again, basically that's our total cost of everything that we've got in here. Again, we'll give you $30,675.70 is where we're sitting at the moment. Again, that does not include any of the tools inside, the lifts, the air compressors, that kind of stuff with it. So if you are interested in the building, that's what I'm looking at. Obviously, a lot of that you can cut out yourself, and the flooring, that was almost $300 that you could easily cut out and do different, do an unfinished concrete or whatever you wanted to do with it. So and it's stuff you can do slowly along the way with it. It just happened with us money-wise. We've been trying to plan on this for a long time, so it just happened money-wise that we were able to do it, in the past year, basically, with it. It's been, I guess July, August, something like that, when we finally put our deposit down on it. So that's one thing that I would recommend, is make sure that you go through the city first and find out what you're allowed to do. I actually had already planned out the building before I talked to the city at all. I'd already planned everything out. I went down, talked to the guy about the building, had that all set up. When I submitted the plans to the city, it turned out my building couldn't be as big as we were initially hoping for. So that's why we went 12-foot walls instead of like an 8-foot or 10-foot wall on it, to give us a little bit more space for storage. So again, check with your city before you really get started on it, so that way you don't get backwards with it. If you don't live in the city, then you don't have covenants, which we don't have covenants here, so that was really nice for us. But we do have, since we live in the city limits, we do have a lot of different regulations that we had to follow with it. So, but it was not that hard. They were really great to work with, and like I said, the permit was only $72. So for the building and stuff with it, everybody else, the other contractors took care of their own stuff. So again, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll answer them as much as I can. You can message me also. You can send me a message on Instagram or Facebook also under 113 Cycles, so you can check that out there. I'll give you a quick video of the shop here as we go, just so you can see kind of how we've got it set up at the moment. I haven't updated much. I've really been working, trying to get the shop set up rather than getting the videos done. But we'll get some more to you. So again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you've got any questions, please let me know.